Hi everyone, good morning. It's Margaret Manning here, and welcome to Mornings with 60 and Me. Today is Monday, it's November 21st. So I hope you had a great weekend and have some really wonderful plans for the week. I am having my cup of tea this morning. I have got green tea. Green tea for a Monday. So I hope you've got some tea or coffee. And I wanted to share with you today a story that I think will be of interest to you. And hopefully will inspire you perhaps to do something that you might have been waiting for a while to start. Have you ever decided that you want to downsize, declutter your home? That's the topic for today. I think that when we're younger, we have a house. Perhaps we have children that are needing that camping gear or their sports gear. We have cars that need, accessories and things that we purchase over the years. Christmas decorations. Extra food. I mean, you can think of all the things that you store in your garage. And when your children leave home and they're doing their own thing, you're left with all this stuff. And I know from talking to women in our community that a lot of you are trying in your 60s to, reduce the amount of stuff you have and turn that into experiences and, just downsize your life a little bit. Now, we have some great bloggers in 60 and Me, but we have one lady in particular, Karen Kingston, who writes about downsizing, decluttering, and just basically transforming your life by focusing on the experiences and the joy in life rather than all the accessories. And before I start by sharing her story that she's written for 60 and Me, I would like to just tell you a bit about my own personal downsizing experience, because it was kind of interesting and maybe something that you're going to go through or have been through. So I was living in Seattle, and after my divorce, I sorted out a lot of things. Obviously, you do that kind of clearing out, but I was still left with a lot of possessions. And I put furniture and all that sort of thing into storage, but I did have, a fairly full house of things. Multiple sets of dishes, multiple Christmas decoration sets. You can imagine all the things that I loved. They were part of my life, and I treasured them. But I decided to change locations with my job. I was working at Microsoft, and so here I am, and I decided to go to take a job offer in New York City. Big dream, always wanted to go, and so I accepted and moved. Took my 39 boxes of stuff with me and went into temporary housing in New York. Loved the job, of course, loved the woman I was working for, but she decided after a few months to move on herself, and so I, was out of a job. And my options were, to carry on with something else in New York or to go back to Seattle. I chose to go back to Seattle. And when I got back, my 39 boxes were waiting for me. And I thought to myself, I have been away for 3 months and I didn't even open one of those boxes. I have no idea what's even in those boxes. So I spent some time, by then I was ready to reinvent my life. So I decided to open the boxes and throw away everything I didn't need. And it was unbelievable, the things that I had saved. And so for the next few months, I sat down and I kept a journal. I did a blog on my journey to 200 items. That was my mission. And sharing that journey really helped me. So that's one thing I might suggest. But I called up my sons and I said, hey guys, I've got this electricity project from 3rd grade and this Halloween poem from when you were 8. And is it okay if I throw them away? And they said, yeah, of course, go for it. They didn't want them. And so I did do a compromise. I scanned everything. I scanned all the pictures, and then I did give away everything. I gave away, and I had a lot of art too. I gave that to a charity. I, just really did clean out my house. Things like my berets. I collect hats, and I had I must have had 20 of them. I had a lot, a lot of hats, and I decided to choose 3. So really, my downsizing was about choosing yes, the things to say yes to rather than the things to say no to. And with that attitude, I did get down to 200 items. And of course, the story is that I have slipped many times in the next 5 years, and But I try now to, when I buy something, I always give something away. I try to make that my mission. But anyway, that was my journey, my own personal journey, and it's a lifestyle. It honestly is. It's not something that you just do and then forget. You just keep doing it, and so I'm going strong, trying to. So this article by Karen may inspire you and give you some ideas. She has a fairly unique way of talking about decluttering, which I really like. And I wish I'd had this article when I started my journey, because it seems very logical, and I think it would help you perhaps. So first thing is to take one step at a time. The old Lao Tzu quote, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Do one day at a time, just take it easy. And her first suggestion is that you start with a small area, with a shelf or just a nook or a drawer. Just start with one area and, clean up systematically. Set the alarm to go off in 20 minutes. So do it in 20-minute segments. Now, if after 20 minutes you're like overwhelmed and you can't take it anymore, stop. And then come back in a day or so and start again. But the idea is to not rush it, to do it in 20-minute segments, and having a little alarm clock goes off, it gives you like, I did it, that sense of accomplishment, so you can then move on to the next section. So if you've got good stamina, you feel energized by your accomplishment, just go for it, keep going. But so many people have experienced this invigorating article. She actually mentions a book that she wrote herself called Don't Read or Listen to This Book at Bedtime, because anything that energizes you, of course, keeps you awake. But the idea with doing this decluttering is it should charge you up. It should make you feel good rather than make you feel depressed. So that's the thing. Now the other thing is, when you manage this into easy to manage chunks, you actually can break through the barrier of holding on to things. So I think that's really, and if you get distracted by having your other areas of the room visible, just cover it, she says, with a sheet. Do something to focus yourself on one area. This is really, really cool idea. Then Karen suggests that you create some boxes to put things in. Now, as you're on your journey, you're going to find weird things. Like she mentions, you might find a kettle in the bedroom cupboard. When you bought the kettle, it was like the only place that had a space on it in the cupboard. So there you put your kettle in the bedroom cupboard. So the idea with this transit box is, if you find stuff that shouldn't be there, like it's just like, what's my shampoo doing in the living room? I mean, whatever. You just put it in the transit box and then put it aside. Now, the secret is that you don't try to clean up. Like, for example, you see the kettle in the bedroom. The kettle belongs in the kitchen. I think I'll just go to the kitchen, and while I'm there, I'll make a cup of tea and a coffee and maybe a biscuit to reward myself. And the next thing you know, someone's rung the phone, and you're off to a meeting, or it didn't work. So the transit box is that. It's just a box where you put stuff while it's in transit. That's a really, really cool idea. And then, so the other thing is to set a dilemma box. Now, the dilemma box, you can guess, is the one that you put things where you just can't decide what to do with it. It pulls at you emotionally, you want to keep it, but on the other hand, you've got to let it go. It's time to let it go. So you can either do a couple of things. You can just let it go, and then put a reminder on your calendar to go back to that thing. Go back to it after a few days or a week or so, and start again. Try again, but don't throw it away or don't keep it. Just put it in this dilemma box, and then you can just take time with it. And I appreciate this. This is hard. I cried many a night letting certain things go that were important to me. So it's not easy, but once you let it go, it's great. The other thing she suggests you do, if you aren't brave enough to just put it in a dilemma box, if you have to decide, is to put it in the dilemma box and then get a friend to come over and just ask you what's in the box. And if you can't remember what's in the box, then it's probably not something that you really, really wanted or that you need. Maybe it will be something that you remember right away, then keep it. It's not like throwing things out for the sake of it, but it's just kind of anything that you can name, you can keep, is her rule. And then if it is something you don't remember or you don't need, just give that box away to charity, or give it to your friend if you just can't deal with it yourself anymore. But that's the thing. Those are some ideas that Karen puts together for dealing with clutter in your home. Now, of course, there are going to be things that are very precious that you won't be able to deal with in quite that way. You'll have to think about it a little longer. But this is to just get that initial phase of decluttering underway. So I hope you found this useful. As I said, I wish I had some of these ideas when I was doing mine, because I did try to sort and solve problems right in the moment, but this gives you some space. So thanks, Karen, for that article. I really appreciate that. And I'd like to just ask you a question. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for being here and for just giving me your support, and also for continuing to have conversations online, just talking to people, share your thoughts and your give us your feedback. And if you have friends that haven't discovered Mornings with 60andMe, well, I think you know by now where to send them to 60andme.com/mornings. And we really, really would appreciate your help. I would appreciate it. Thank you. So let's give you a question for today so we can get the conversation going about decluttering. So have you tried any of these methods to help you declutter your home? Have you perhaps got a different method that worked for you? Let's share our decluttering ideas today, and look forward to reading your comments and joining the conversation. Have a fabulous day, everybody, and we'll see you all back here tomorrow on Mornings with 60andMe. Bye-bye for now.